Happy Great Vault Day. I hope everyone's gotten something good from their Great Vault on this Tuesday. But we're not here to talk about the Great Vault. Nope, we're here to talk about some bigger news. And that's the latest from the Mythic Plus dungeons that have actually received some pretty huge nerfs. So in this video, we're going to be covering Blizzard's blog post where they go into detail about all the different nerfs that are coming to the Mythic Plus dungeons. But before we get into this video, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're just 2 weeks away from New Year's, and we're closing up to reach my goal of hitting 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So with your help, we can reach that milestone for the channel. Alright, let's take a look at what Blizzard has to say. Season 1 is going off to a roaring start, and we've been playing a lot of dungeons and have gotten a lot of great feedback from players during this first week of Mythic Plus and Dragonflight. While we want to be careful not to change too much as players are still figuring out the new dungeons, we've identified some areas where we'd like to act on feedback sooner than later. The following Mythic Plus dungeon tuning adjustments will go live with the scheduled weekly maintenance this week, tomorrow, December 20th, in this region. And boy am I glad to hear that, because yeah, there's just a couple dungeons that there's certain bosses or mechanics that just kind of feel like they're tuned way too weirdly or just do way too much damage. So let's see what ones they're going to be talking about here. So for Elfgar Academy, we're seeing a huge 25% damage reduction for those annoying aggravated skitterflies darting sting damage. And now they're not going to be targeting the same person as often. Another big one is for the Overgrown Ancient tree fight. The Ancient's branch healing is going to be reduced by a huge 40%, which is a welcome nerf because I feel like that fight in particular was just really annoying. I know I initially were basically getting into these groups where, we were just struggling to get that boss down. It was just like wiping the group and people were leaving, so glad they changed that. For the Azure Vaults, the Conjured Lashery health has been reduced by 20%, which is nice because these ads really needed to be burned down quickly because they cast that spell. I forget the name of it, but it needed to be interrupted because if you let the cast get off, it just wiped the group. So it's nice to see that, groups will probably be able to pull more now, so that's cool. The Arcane Tender's infused ground damage is being reduced by 33%, so again, another welcome change. And now we're going to look at the Azure Blade boss fight. So overwhelming energy damage is being reduced by 25%, and the overwhelming energy cast time is being increased by 1 second. And then also there's going to be a delay now when the overwhelming energy actually inflicts damage and she expels those ancient orbs. And on top of that, the ancient orb damage is being reduced by 25%. So overall, that fight's going to feel a heck of a lot easier now. I know right now during the fights, that transition phase when she starts casting the orbs just felt like it was going way too quickly. So it's going to be a lot easier to deal with now, so that's awesome. And looking at Court of Stars, there's just a minor change here. So the Legion Hound's Fellblaze puddle is now actually going to be properly having like a screen effect. So you can actually see it when you stand in it now, so it's not going to be something invisible. I guess that's cool. I mean, I never really had a problem with that, but it's nice to see that they're actually going back and still adjusting these older dungeons. Now looking at the Halls of Valor, so the Ebоnclaw Warg's Leap for the throat damage is being reduced by 25%. And this should really help groups now who want to chain pull a bunch of those wargs, because I think for Mythic Plus, that's actually like a pretty popular strat for most routes where right before that fight you gotta pull a crap ton of those wargs. So with that 25% damage reduction, when you pull like all those wargs, it's gonna be a lot easier to do, because I know right now I've been in a couple of groups where the tanks just get one shot, so that'll be nice. And then actually for the Fenrir fight itself, the Claw Frenzy's cast time is being increased to 1 second, and now it's going to actually have a visual to indicate when the damage is inflicting, so it'll be nice to kind of give people a warning. So on to the Nakud offensive. I always get that wrong. So anyways, Soul Harvester's Deathbolt Volley cast time is being increased to 3 seconds. The Deathbolt Volley and Shatter Soul are now cast less frequently. The Corruptor's Deathbolt cast time is being increased to 2 seconds. The Corruptor's Necrotic Eruption is also being cast less frequently. Deathspeaker's Chant of the Dead cast time increased to 8 seconds, and again, not being cast as often. The Risen Mystic's Swift Wind cast time being increased to 3 seconds. Risen Warrior's Mortal Strike duration reduced to 4 seconds. The Desecrated Rotting Wind ranged was reduced to 25 yards and isn't being cast as often. Basically, all of those casters are just casting crap way too fast, and they're nerfing the hell out of it. For the Raging Tempest boss fight, the Electrical Storm damage is being reduced by 15%, and the Energy Surge duration is being reduced to 8 seconds from 10. So overall, it sounds like they just across the board are nerfing that spirit side of the dungeon. I know from personal experience, those ads were a nightmare, and it sucks because That's kind of where most groups in Mythic Plus go to get the most percentage. And then the Raging Tempest nerfs, I think they're warranted because I just feel like the damage from that is just a little bit too much, and I think the duration it just felt like it lasts forever, so both are great changes. Now for the big one, the Ruby life pools. So Scorchlings no longer cast Burning Touch, Thunderhead and Flame Gullet are now both visible from much further away. The cast time of Thunderhead's Storm Breath and Flame Gullet's Breath increased to 3 seconds from 2. The Primalist Flame Dancer's Flame Dance channel duration was increased to 6 seconds from 4. The Blazehound Destroyer's Living Bomb periodic damage was reduced by 40%. The Tempest Channeler's Lightning Storm periodic damage and duration have both been reduced by 20%. And then for Koria Blazehoof's fight, her health was reduced by 15%, and the ad she casts health has been reduced by 20%. And then the last guy, Kiaka, and the Eganheart Stormvane guy, I can't get his name right, but their health both were reduced by 10%. And then also when Karaka's grounded, the Flame Spit is not going to be targeting everyone in the group. It's going to be targeting a maximum of 3 players. So overall, I am happy for these changes because at the moment, I feel like Ruby Life Pools felt like the hardest dungeon to do in Mythic Plus. I know the 2 mini-boss dragons were also a pain in the butt because they kind of felt like they were just casting that huge frontal cone way too often. So that, and then also the fact that they're making them a little bit easier to see now, because I do know that there were a couple of times where I was in groups where the tank accidentally pulled the dragon while we were doing a pack. So I think that'll make things a little bit easier as you get to that last boss. And now let's look at the Temple of the Jade Serpent. So it looks like the Depraved Mistweaver's Defiling Mist damage has been reduced by 20%. Her Touch of the Ruin Aura is now also a curse effect, so now it can actually be dispelled properly. For the Wise Mari fight, the first fight in the dungeon, it looks like they've actually improved the Geyser's warning effects, so it's easier to tell when they're about to, come up from the water. Because I know that's like, every group I've done, that was like the big problem, is people are always dying to that, because, it's really hard to tell, so it's nice to see that they're making it more visible. And then for the Shah of Doubt, the Touch of Nothingness damage has been reduced by 20%, and the Bounds of Reality reduces damage taken to 99% instead of making him immune. So that's good. I know that last boss can be pretty crazy, and I think people were saying that the temple was the hardest dungeon, but I'm still convinced Ruby Life Pool was harder, but, with these changes, I mean, who knows, it could be, they could trade places. But yeah, that should do it for this video, guys. What are your thoughts on all of these changes? Is there something that you guys think needed to be nerfed that, got overlooked and they didn't nerf it yet? Let me know in the comments, and thank you so much for checking out this video. And like always, I will see you guys in the next one.